very early on the first day of the week, and still dark, when Mary of Magdala came to the tomb. She saw that the stone had been moved away from the tomb and came running to Simon Peter and the other disciple, the one Jesus loved. "They've taken the Lord out of the tomb," she said, "and we don't know where they've put him." So Peter set out with the other disciple to go to the tomb. They ran together, but the other disciple, running faster than Peter, reached the tomb first. He bent down and saw the linen cloths lying on the ground, but did not go in. Simon Peter, who'd been following, now came up, went right into the tomb, saw the linen cloths on the ground, and also the cloth that had been over his head. This was not with the linen cloths, but rolled up in a place by itself. Then the other disciple, who had reached the tomb first, also went in. He saw, and he believed. Till this moment, they had failed to understand the teaching of Scripture that he must rise from the dead. The disciples then went home again.
I think the part that struck me there was when then the disciples went home again. And just imagine what they must have been feeling like. You know, Jesus said that they'd put him in behind this big stone and it was gone. And he wasn't there. How could he go? You know, the huge questions for them.
Yes, this certainly was something they weren't expecting. They thought, the women who were the first ones to bring this news of the empty tomb, they thought the women were hysterical. They didn't believe them.
They didn't believe them.
So I can imagine Peter and the others saying, "Look, we'll sort this out once and for all." So they went, they ran, and I can see them almost running with great impatience. You know, what are these women up to? You know, so we'll sort this out.
They couldn't believe it.
No, and a lovely attention to detail. We've got the other disciple, which is assumed to be John. He's younger than Peter. He gets there first, and the great detail they notice and remember that the cloth's there, but the one that was over his head, that's in a different place. That they can remember this, which shows the impact of that experience.
Yes, it certainly does.
But to come back home again and then say, "Wow, imagine that! What are we going to do now?
Can this be true?
Yeah. How are we going to get to the bottom of this?" Because they had nothing else to go on at that stage.
No. I love they were running, and that Peter always seemed to be the impetuous one. You know, he was always, "Wow, this has happened. He's got to be off and sort it out." Yes.
He didn't even wait. He just went straight into the tube. You know?
Yes.
This is, and then had to come back and say, "Look, even I don't know what's going on." In another part, of course, we meet the couple on the road to Emmaus, and then they come back and they are kind of confirming, "We've met this person, we've seen the Lord," and by that stage, different reports are coming in, and I think the disciples then, probably for the very first time, started to realize what Jesus had been preparing them for. It certainly wasn't concocted. The story went around that the disciples had stolen the body, but obviously that wasn't the case.
Yes. Well, the size of the stone was traditionally has always been a very sizable stone that took a number of people to move over across the opening.
Also tells me, in terms of our own tradition and beliefs, that Jesus did not say to Peter, even though he was the leader, he did not reveal everything to Peter, but he used everybody in the circle, and that the women were the first witnesses of that resurrection. I think is very significant for us today, particularly as lay people within our Catholic tradition. are now taking their very rightful place in ministries and in the organisation of the church. So I'm very encouraged by this reading, and encouraged for the church today too.
Yes, I was just looking back to the first part where it said Mary of Magdala came to the tomb. She came on her own, and as you said earlier, sort of maybe some hysteria could have been thought to have happened, but in actual fact, it was confirmed that it was far from hysteria. She was telling exactly what had happened.
Yeah, I think that happens to us today. If someone comes to you with what seems to be quite like children come into their parents and they say, this has happened, and the parents are inclined not to believe them first. What are you talking about? It couldn't possibly be. And we'll get to the bottom of this. And there's that sense of almost the unimaginable has happened. And
Yes.
how will we handle this?
And how many viewpoints you need to listen to get the picture.
So once again, it's Easter Day, and we're still full of questions,
Yes.
but also full of wonder.
Yes. And continuing our journey.
Yeah.